Fire away.
How's it going, Dowell?
Good.
If you were in the NFL a long time, you're familiar with the 2-minute warning. How do you think it will change your strategy, if at all, now that it's here in college?
Yeah, well, there's two things that you have to consider with it. Obviously, it stops the clock. College is always a little bit different because first down stops the clock as well, but it definitely does. There's situations you handle pre-2-minute, post-2-minute that'll be a little bit differently. Obviously, it'll give you another built-in timeout. Timeouts still have a lot of value in college football. In pro football, they're like gold. And you watch most of these games that are one-score games in college and pro football, and most of the time that team with 2 or 3 timeouts left in the end has a huge advantage over the other team. So timeouts are important. This is just adding another one, and there are strategies before and after 2-minute that come into play here that I don't want to talk about in too much detail, but yes, it is significantly different.
I'll try to be a little more direct with my questions this week.
Thank you.
Do you know what you're going to call first thing on Saturday?
No, I do not. We still have a whole day of red area to put in tomorrow.
So what's that look like?
Show up and watch. Buy a ticket.
With Rocket, I imagine he's going to be a big part of both of those conversations. What do you sort of envision him doing, just generally speaking, with that first time out?
I think it's I've had 2 seasons with Rocket, so out of everyone, I was looking at our 2 deep before I walked in here, and you got 2 guys that are not slashed as returning starters on the offense, but I've also been 2 full seasons with Rocket. I also know that Rocket is extremely excited to play football again. He missed a lot of time last year, but due to injury. So for him, it's going to be a little bit of, remember, you've done this before. He's excited and he's a little bit anxious, I feel like, to get out there and get hit for the first time and run the ball live the first time. And he's such a humble kid. I think it speaks to his character that for him, everyone sees him as Rocket Sanders, like, oh, wow, like, it's Rocket. Like, man, this guy's been an SEC, all SEC player and all this other stuff and has a bunch of accolades. Rocket sees it as, I need to go prove myself. I missed a year, and I want to get back to that 2021, 2022 Rocket Sanders. And so his humility will make it, he'll be a little bit nerved up probably and excited to do this. So just the way he's prepared to this point, I've been fired up to see. And in coaching, you find joy in these kids getting excited to go out and prove themselves and show everyone how hard he's worked to get back to where he needed to be.
Another thing you're familiar with in the NFL is helmet communication back in college football. What does that do for an offensive coordinator? What are you trying to get into your quarterback during that time?
Yeah, well, it changes a whole strategy. I'm sure you guys have seen the YouTube videos or Twitter videos, whatever they're called, about signal stealing and all this other stuff. So it changes stuff. I was in the NFL before the defense had the helmet. It used to be just the offense, but the defense was still signaling. So then there's certain teams that would pluck signals, and they pluck signals from defensive players and from the sideline, from the coach to the players. So it gives you an advantage to. You also have to figure out how much information can they handle into the helmet. Like Kerry Collins used to yell at me all the time, like, "Shut up, stop talking." Jay Cutler, Matt Hasselbeck wanted the information. They wanted reminders in it. So you practice that way every day to figure out, hey, what does Lenorse want? What makes him cloudy? What can he handle? And so there's a process of learning in that thing as well. And it can be a huge advantage when you have a younger quarterback as well, and it certainly depends on how much they can handle as well.
What are your early impressions of Old Dominion? And then defensively, they have a linebacker, number 42, Henderson, seems to really be all over the field and stuff. How do you go about game planning to try and take him out of the game, essentially, make him non-effective?
Well, the good thing for us is through spring ball and training camp, we get to go against Debo every day. And there's some similarities with how hard these guys play, how relentless they are. Don't stop, like Freddy Krueger type guys. They just won't die. They just keep coming. And the guy at 42 does a great job of, he's not just making tackles, he's going after the ball as well. And we made tapes and showed the running backs and quarterbacks and tight ends and receivers, you better protect it because he's trying to tackle you. And every time he's doing that, he's trying to rip the ball out as well. And he's a heck of a football player. This 3-safety defense creates run game issues, and it's very unique. So it's something that you can prepare for all you want, and what they put on tape last year, they could be completely different this year. The hardest part about a first game is there's a wall of, you're waiting for you got to figure out if what you studied for and what you prepared for, is that what they're showing on tape. So adjustments have to happen earlier in first games than the third game. You've seen two weeks of film on them. So that's also a huge advantage. You're talking about a team that plays really hard, that the record should have been better than what it was last year because they lost some one-score games. They've got some transfers. The head coach is a guy that I interviewed for a wide receiver job back in 2016 when I was with the Bears, and did a great job. Extremely intelligent guy. Ricky's really, really sharp. They have a good coaching staff. They play really hard, and it will definitely be a challenge.
I'm guessing you'll probably need to see more than just a good game on Saturday from Lenoris, but at what point can you feel like you don't need to tell his family that he still sucks?
I think we have a couple years for that. I mean, you're talking about redshirt freshmen. So it's different now. Like it was, you guys keep anointing him, and I got to bring him back down because on Saturday, for the first time ever, he'll take the offense out as the starter. So there's a long way. There's a long process. Spencer wasn't as good as a freshman or sophomore as he was last year. I'm super excited about the opportunity that he's earned, and I know his parents are super excited, but I'll probably still, at least grandma will still tell him that he sucks.
With Juju McDowell at running back, you guys were really able to get him involved in the pass-catching game and the run game midway through the year before he got hurt. Yeah. What makes you believe that you guys can get him back to that level of play for a full season?
Well, to what you just said, obviously we got to keep him healthy and those things, and he's worked really hard to get his body prepared to play, but it's evidence-based decisions. He's done it before, and he's done it in games, and he's a guy that works his butt off and shows up every day with a great attitude and practices hard. So what we've seen on tape normally is the truth. We're not talking about, it's not a hypothetical or we hope, like he's done it.
You've talked up so much about the tight ends and said how much you love them. Do you even look at them as tight ends, or do you just look at the whole group as pass catchers and look at them as almost wide receivers?
We had one conversation about tight ends, so I don't know if I talked them up that much, did I? I mean, it was one conversation. Yeah, you guys made it into hype, not me. No, we have good tight ends here that I do like. Brady is a guy that we look for smart, tough, dependable. And the definition of that was Nate Atkins when he was here. That's what he was. And Brady fits that mold. Josh Simon's a different style player that has unique ability with the ball in his hands. And Mike Smith has a chance to be a really good player one day. And he's a freshman, and he's going to, every time you play a freshman, it's for the first time, you don't know what it's going to look like. I wish I could tell you that, hey, this is what he's going to go do. I got to watch him play in high school. I recruited him when I was at Arkansas. I have a lot of belief in the kid, but until they go and do it, you don't know. And I'm hopeful that he is the player I think he might be. But those three guys, they're all going to play. It's a group that I trust, a group that we put a lot into. Coach Elliott does a great job with them with Ryan Yurchek. So they're getting coached hard every day, and they're continuing to develop, and they're a solid group on this team.
Do you ever remember on any NFL staff you were on a team that started a rookie at left tackle in week one? And I guess if he starts there, what makes Josiah able to do that at the college level?
I think we started Mekhi Becton when I was with the Jets. I don't know if that went the way we wanted it to go. And if he does start, it's evidence-based decision, and that's how we are. Guys are going to play are guys that have performed well with consistency throughout camp, So for him, for Tree, for these other guys that have been mixing in a tackle, we're pleased with all of them. Tree had to play at an early age. Tro had to play at an early age. You don't want to play freshmen on the offensive line in the SEC. You don't want to do that. You'd rather play them with the redshirt sophomores. They've had three years in the strength program and 3 years of development, and sometimes you're not afforded that luxury. So we have high expectations for Josiah, whether it's on Saturday or next Saturday or 5 Saturdays from now, same way with Tree. So whoever goes in there and plays, we have high expectations for, and we're probably going to play more young players than you'd like to play, but it's also an opportunity for those to get out there and you figure out what you got. You got to throw them in the fire sometimes.
With the helmet communication and it cuts off at 15 seconds, is there times ever where you're still trying to say the play call and then it cuts off? And do you have to go through situations with Lenoris, hey, if this happens, do you look to the sideline? What's the plan there?
Yeah, so this is what we did in the NFL. There's definitely hopefully we get every play call in before 15 seconds, because I do believe the only bad call is a slow call. Like, there's a reason why every play is in the game plan, but if you're getting calls in slow and then all of a sudden it puts the quarterback on the shot clock and it's ticking down on him, you're not giving him a chance to be successful. So the object is always to get the call in fast. And that's why you can't get caught up in the emotion of the game, because when the ball's down, you can't worry about what just happened on that play. You're thinking about the next play. And then sometimes all of a sudden there's a holding call or something happens. You don't expect a drop ball, and all of a sudden you got to reset your mind to say, whoa, I thought I was going to gain 4 or 5 here. Now I got to go backwards. So we call them default calls. Then there will be a time, because it happens in the NFL, and they've been doing it for years, that these things are going to go out. So you have backup plans. You still have signals. You have wristbands. You teach the quarterbacks, hey, if you're in 11 personnel, you're in 12 personnel, you're in whatever, 21 personnel. Like, if you get this and the thing goes out, you got to be able to call these 2 or 3 plays. Here they are on a wristband. If the headset goes out, then get to your wristband, or have some default calls in your mind ready to go.
Dowell, following up on that, do you still have to have some kind of signals just in case that happens?
Absolutely. And I'll be interested to see, when Chip Kelly was in the NFL, they still had to coach the quarterback, but they had each position coach still signaling to their skill guys. So I think there's going to be some guys that, is playing as fast as possible, these guys with tempo. There's still going to be signals, and it's still going to be a big part of it. I believe that, and I'll be interested to see how college football embraces this thing. I think the guys with NFL experience have a little bit of advantage on how they think they want to use it. I think some of these tempo teams are going to say, hey, that thing's going to slow us down because we can signal faster than we can talk. And you're telling the quarterback versus telling everyone else. So if you're a huddle team, and I think that the signals probably go away. But if you're on the ball, no huddle team, or you're a tempo team that's going really, really fast, I think that won't change their role. I think someone's just going to give the quarterbacks coaches and pointers. Appreciate you guys.